Okay, folks, here we go.
Guys, here we go. Let's have a good show.
1B, stand by. Okay,
Yeah.
Yacht,
Yeah,
take it.
get in midfield.
Take
Just go
it.
right now. Go to camera 3.
Can you
Go to the perfect, just like that.
I'll just go ahead.
Yeah, graphics 2 is going to be up for the first. Okay.
Take it.
Go right now. Go to camera 3. Go. Yep. Go to the perfect, just like that. No music.
I'm going to hand to Q, Sophie.
Wait for it.
On radio in the Canal Zone.
All right, guys, mic check.
Go ready.
Okay, Ricky, mic.
Yep, I am ready.
Wait for it.
Willie, mic check.
Yep, let's go.
1B, stand by.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
5,
4, 3, 2, 1, and we're live.
Okay, and go for it, guys.
All right, guys, here we go. 8 o'clock on the dot this time, or maybe a minute after, somewhere, give or take, Eastern time. 5 p.m. Pacific time, and of course, 8 p.m. Canal Zone time. Happy at the Balboa Yacht Club. Ricky, happy Friday, man.
Happy Friday to you, my good friend Willie. Listen, what a month, man. So today is that last show of the month. Well, guys, welcome everybody. Welcome all our viewers, friends, family. We love you guys, man, and we do have a family. Yeah, as you guys know, Willie and I both born and raised in the Canal Zone, Panama. And we love to bring you this weekly podcast that is all about the Panama Canal. It's all about its history, its tradition, the people who live there, you name it. This is the place where you come to find out what is happening in the Panama Canal community, a.k.a. Zonians. So, guys, it's going to be a great show. Willie and I really prepared for this one. It's a recap, and Willie will inform us more about it. But let's get this show started with a toast like we do every week.
Yes.
Salute to the eighth wonder of the world and to all our viewers, all you guys that support us. Thank you so much.
So I am holding a drink here, guys, but
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, mine comes out pretty good. You got to get one of these platinum silver ones.
that's what I need. I need something probably from the Balboa Trading Company and Ruthie MacArthur, maybe another roll, a couple beers.
Yes. You know, Willie, the Canal Zone commissary is starting to become quite big, man. There's a lot of vendors out there, guys.
There is, and I mean, you saw that at both reunions. I mean, even the one in the zone here in Orlando back in July. Man,
big
that
one.
thing's massive, man. There's so many vendors out there. You
And
know?
the
They know that the
clothes.
Zonians spend money, man. That's the one thing. Zonians are very, very nostalgic people, right?
Well, we have a unique way of dressing. You know, we love those surf shirts, the long sleeves. That's big in our community. You know, we love our chancletas and we love our shorts. Hey, Mr. Don Dupree.
Absolutely.
So,
and we are
yeah.
on time. We're very un-Panamanian of us, of course.
You know what? I think it's the checklist.
Imagine that. Imagine something like that would work. Gee whiz.
We went to the checklist.
And lo and behold,
microphone works.
Seems to work there.
Everything
Yeah,
seems to
so-
work. Yeah.
But right on, Dodd. Good to see you. And yes,
Mr.
it was
Bradley.
really cool. And now we'll have to start, of course, planning for our Canal Zone reunion in Orlando, our 40th for class of 86. And I know, Ricky, you're in the class of 81 or
It's 5
working on
years.
some stuff.
Yeah,
So,
separation. We always
yeah.
celebrate those together. Yeah, but we'll get into that next month, guys. Our next month's show. Will
And Jim
start
and
with
Diane, good evening. Hope you saw the picture. Yes, she did. Absolutely. On well, not on Facebook. It would be on Facebook, but the daughter's wedding. They were beautiful pictures. They had a beautiful Jim and Diane's granddaughter, if I'm not mistaken. Got
Casco
married
Viejo.
down in Panama in Casco Viejo. Beautiful ceremony.
wedding.
Yeah,
Yes,
fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
That
So,
was
but
elite
good to
level.
see you guys there. HB, how you doing, brother?
Hey, happy birthday! He's a birthday boy.
Yes,
happy
he is.
birthday to our
Yes,
good
feliz
friend
cumpleaños,
HB.
amigo.
That's on my list.
He had
to celebrate.
quite the showing at the Theater Guild during the reunion. Got a
course.
lot of great comments on that. People really
He brings them
thoroughly
in.
enjoyed that, man.
We all want to see him perform.
Good stuff. Hey, Vern, good to see you, man. Vern's on the road
Mr.
out
Vern.
there up in the Great White North. So
Yes, sir. Good to see you,
stay,
Vern.
stay
Always.
warm, my friend. Absolutely. Good to
And
see
get ready
you.
for your part this year, Mr. Vern.
Yes.
I think
got a
when
lot
do
of-
we have him back? March?
I believe so. I don't have the calendar up right now. I'm trying to
Yeah, I
keep
think
the
it's
bandwidth
March.
down. But
March 1st is our 2nd year anniversary, guys.
How about that, huh? Huh?
Well, you know, Willie, we have several anniversaries. Like you started, and then I came in. But the first show that you and I said, "Hey, we're doing a show every week," blah blah blah. The first one was March 1st with Dave Dahlstrom, and then we recruited him after that show to do our history.
Yeah, because he is quite the historian, man. I mean, he just really and it's you know, he has a passion for it, and then he has a family connection for it as well. Because I mean, his family goes back to
fourth
building it
generation,
now, man. And so you know,
and I'm gonna tell you right now, when we started 2 years ago, Panama history. I mean, it was just us talking about Canal Zone history, and that was it. There was nothing
even
else
in
out
Panama
there.
it was.
Even in Panama now, 5, 6, 7 different channels.
Yeah, it's a lot
talking
of
about
fun.
Panama, talking about the history of the canal, talking about the history of the railroads. I mean, a lot of interest now.
Yeah, and I think the other push that we need to focus on or try and do this year, Ricky, is bring in a lot more of the military out there. You know, Bud Tristano joined us, and he was fantastic, and again, truly, you know, made the best of his stay in Panama. But I'm connected with several of the Facebook groups that are the military groups out there, and I mean, it's incredible how many of these people will chime in, and a lot of these groups aren't even just, you know, Fort Clayton or Howard or Fort Kobe. You know, a lot of these are just veterans groups and these types of military groups. But when they mention Panama, and of course, you know the way the algorithm works. If you comment or like something that somebody says, you kind of start following it, right? They start feeding you more of that stuff.
Correct.
And the one thing you see, even in the non-Canal Zone military pages, when they talk about their deployments, it's so common to hear them say, Panama was my best deployment.
Exactly what I was going to say. Throughout my life, I've met people that, I'm from Panama, blah, blah, blah. And they go, I was stationed there. The best 2 years of my life. The best 4 years of my life. The great, always. So,
and
Willie, I think it's a great idea to bring those guys into the show and
because
hear their story.
They did. They played a big part of it. They played a role in the zone before Zonians. I mean, honestly, right? The military, the gunboats were there. The gunboats were there.
Yeah, you're right. They were there. They were there with the railroad. They had that treaty.
Absolutely. So, I mean, the military's always had a role in Panama, and some of these people, a lot of us had good friends that did the longer tours, or I guess re-upped and stayed there. Because there's a lot of our friends that were in the military that were there for 5, 6, 7, 10 years. Not your typical 2 or 4 year rotation.
The Thompsons, Susan Thompson's family, they were there forever. Yeah.
And
the
so
Hadayas, they were there a long, long time. Yeah.
Yeah. I think once you have a certain rank and you like it there, I think it's a well-kept secret, because a lot of them would also say that, they had no idea what they were in store for when they got to Panama. They realized, wow, this is not like any other deployment overseas, because it really is like you're almost in the States in a lot of ways, where you didn't have that in Asia and in Europe and in those places. So it was, I think that's going to be a lot of fun, guys, to switch over to
bring
that.
those guys in. Absolutely.
But let's come back to home here right now, because a lot of cool things going on. There's some announcements on a couple of things that we want to bring up here as well with our K-Pos. And then, of course, after that, we'll talk about some interesting news that has developed here in Panama that Ricky's just chomping at the bit to get in there. So.
Good stuff.
SCN Television presents K-Paso. And now here's this evening's host, Army Sergeant Bob Foster.
Good evening and welcome to K-Paso. We've got 2 guests tonight.
All right, we'll just
2 guests.
Shorten that.
Me and you, Willie.
I know, right? I'm gonna have to alter that, man. So it's us, although we don't have any rank. I'm not gonna do that. But anyway, quick announcements, because there's not a lot going on. We're in that transition. We support everything Zonian going on around us, and the Canal Zone reunion Panama just ended last week. But that was something we kept front and center because it was coming up and it was there. Now we're switching gears, going over to the Canal Zone reunion here in Orlando, because now we're 6 months away, counting down that one, and it's, that's another really big deal. I wasn't able to make it to Panama, unfortunately, so looking forward to going to Orlando. But first things first, you got to get into the society. You got to join the society, okay? And you still have time until tonight. If you're on here and you haven't enrolled yet, get on the society page right now, and it'll save you $10 by doing it tonight. It's less than a buck a week, man. You know, that's really all it costs you to become a member of the Pan Canal Society, and it really is something that helps all of us out. So make sure you get yourself enrolled.
It's the core of it's the foundation of the Canal Society. All of us, and we're very, very grateful for those guys that keep this community together. The way they have all these decades.
Absolutely. So, but
Well,
let's say hello to a couple other people.
Yeah, let's say hello because
some of those stats were kind of pertinent to what we were talking about, and then it comes in later. And it doesn't
comes in later. Correct.
Yes, awesome show last week. We have gotten so many great calls and emails about this, and it really was a fantastic show.
It was, man.
Ted Henter's an absolute champ, man. I mean, just a really, really class act, and he had very kind words to say to us afterwards, and to you guys in the audience, because he really enjoyed the engagement that everybody threw out there.
That's what makes it so special.
Yeah, it was.
It's a place where everybody does know your name.
Yeah,
truly.
Indeed.
It's not like a show. This is the facts.
Yeah, no kidding. And then, as Jim's saying there in the second part of his message, love the photo shared by everyone. It really was. I mean, we got some stats that I'll throw at the end of this when we start talking about the reunion itself, because Alex provided me some really amazing stats. But yeah, it's the really cool thing about being in 2025, and I mean, hell, everybody, if you got a phone, you got a camera, right? And if you got a phone, you got a camera, you have internet. So there is stuff coming out damn near the minute it happens. You're seeing it on social media. But the reunion was just incredible down there. These guys just, I mean, I can't say enough for the job that those guys have done putting that reunion together and everything involved. And, the amount of people that flew down to Panama to participate in this is incredible. So, kudos to them, but we'll get to them.
Yeah, we'll get into those numbers here soon.
But yeah, Vern, March should work. Yeah, absolutely, Vern. We got it. Vern, for those of you guys who don't know, Vern is our Atlantic side correspondent. He knows the Atlantic side pretty well. Ricky and I have no concept of the Atlantic
Vern's
side.
teaching us all. Yeah, everything.
He does.
Beautiful.
I lived in the Atlantic side, but until I think I was less than a year old when we moved, but if not, maybe a year old. So I have no memory of the Atlantic side whatsoever, other than playing for the Balboa Rams and the Bulldogs and Red Machine in football and baseball that I went to the Atlantic side. Other than that, I didn't paddle, so I didn't go there for that either. But, it's cool to have Vern tell us, a lot of these stories. And then my dad also, he wants to join us again, because my dad, when he first joined the Canal Zone Police, he was on the Atlantic side. So he patrolled those streets. So he knows those streets very well also. And so, we're going to talk about him joining us earlier in the month, which was a really cool show as well. But
your dad did great. Your dad and Coach Cotton, both of them did really, really good, man. Well,
and the interesting thing is that neither one of them was on as a Canal Zone police officer.
No, they were there for what they really know. The flag riots. They were both
but
there.
One of them was there in that capacity as a Canal Zone police officer.
No.
Hadn't joined yet.
Yeah.
No.
One as a student and the other one as a videographer.
Yep.
I mean, that was truly a great interview. We'll talk about that in a minute here, guys.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Hey, Sherry, how you doing from El Centro? So my sister, they're on there every year. They travel the country in the RV, and then they park back in Wisconsin in, I guess, for the wintertime, which I don't know, makes no damn sense to me to be in there. Maybe I'm wrong on the scheduling, but anyway, they travel all over the place, which is really, really cool. They got some great place. They were a couple months ago. They were, I think it was in New Mexico or Arizona, where they have the big balloon fest and all the hot air balloons. It's pretty amazing to see. I mean,
I don't know. People do that. That is so insane, in my opinion.
But that was really
like
cool.
Jumping off a parachute. Those two things. Wow, man.
Yeah, exactly. If that plane can land, I'm staying on it, man. There's no reason for me to jump off that plane if it can land. I'm sorry, man. But hey, man, military has always been great, and we kind of in our bratty little Zonian ways, we had our attitude towards the military back then, but as you get older and you get wiser, you realize that they played a big role there for us, and it was great. I mean, the military played a big role, and I mean, I personally can say that I'm grateful for it, because I'm not here if it wasn't for the military and the Air Force and my dad getting stationed down there, because that's how he arrived in the Isthmus.
That is correct. Yeah.
It definitely is. And El Capitan, that's Sherry's husband, Craig. Best deployment was in Panama. Yes, he was stationed in Panama. That's how they met. And again, a lot of people say that over and over, guys, that their favorite deployment was Panama, that they really had the best of both worlds. They were able to be overseas, and yet they were able to kind of be at home as well and have Americans. As I understood it, there were more generals stationed in the Canal Zone in the 70s than existed in the world.
You know what's funny about that? That's probably the second most is here in San Francisco, the Presidio. Same thing. They've, a whole base
You know what
just
a good life
generals.
is, man. Absolutely. And when you got ranked like that, who's going to say no to you, right?
Yeah.
In Panama courts rule the Chinese ports were. They did. We're going to talk about that here in just a moment, Leaf. That's absolutely right. Big
day in news today.
Day. And yeah, Albuquerque. That's where that balloon fence was. It is absolutely so. Ricky, well, you know what? Thank you, Leaf, for transitioning there. What's going on in Panama here? Because there's a big news
guys,
going on, man.
You know what? Before we get started, I want to say something. A lot of times, like there's news that comes out. And then Willie and I go, what? We've been talking about this for at least a month, So what happened yesterday was huge. We've been informing you guys, and I'm sure everybody that watches the show has been will know what we're talking about. Is the Supreme Court ruled on the ports? Okay, ruled unconstitutional. So the Hutchinson Whampoa has to go. So, wow, that's huge. I mean, it's good and it's bad and everything
they don't
here
get a
and
choice
there.
now. They have to go.
Yeah, but that's over. It's got to go. So now here's the part that I'm saying. It. Of course, everybody knew that this Supreme Court thing was going to happen, but we've been telling you that because we've been following Molino's trips and we've been telling you where he's going and what he's doing. We informed you that he already negotiated Plan B. Right, that he had gotten APM terminals, which is a Merck. I always say their names wrong, but yeah,
Maersk.
Yes. As a Maersk company, they're going to be taking over operations on the part-time basis, right?
They're a transitional.
They're transitional. Body. So, the president already has this thing ready to roll from day one, from second one. I mean, he's ready to go in there tomorrow. Yes. Or Monday morning. But the Panamanian news oh, now we find out. Nobody's told us about this. And I'm looking at William going, what? What do you mean? We've been talking about this. Anyway. So that is what's going on. The ports are now going to go to bidding again. Yep. So, at the end of the day, they got them out of there. And they're gone, guys. They do have rights to arbitration, and more than likely they're going to use those rights. And that'll be fought in New York. That's where that happens. But some of the experts have already come out and said on the news that they don't stand a chance. The corruption it was so clear and. Right. It wasn't hard to hide it.
Well, let me ask you something.
Even defend it.
There was also another development in the news earlier in the week involving a former vice president.
That's a little political. We'll stick to the Canal, but yes, guys, there was
a lot of calls about that back in the day. That a lot of these deals, these Hutchinson Whampoa deals and stuff.
Well, that's the government that signed this deal that call it. So that does come together. The vice president of the last. Yeah. But we try not to be political. But the vice president of the last administration in Panama.
What we're talking about here. We just
it correlates, right? Sure. He just got arrested for corruption.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people said that this deal was made because there was a lot of money that exchanged hands under the table to.
Oh, they just handed to them. There was no bid process.
Exactly, and so. Now that they're saying it's unconstitutional, what have they uncovered? And why do they release that and suddenly this arrest takes place? But again, as Ricky says, that's for the courts to deal with. We're just going to inform you of what we know and see. And
yeah, so there you go. We're going to have, but at the same time, so all that's going to happen. So there's going to be the new operators on the Balboa and Cristobal ports, and at the same time, what we know as the Canal Zone government now is ACP. Right. They're putting out to bid, like we've been informing everybody here for a while as well, 2 new ports, the Corozal and the Telfors Telfels, sorry, there's no R in that, Telfels, Telfels in the Atlantic side. $6.6 billion worth of work. This is why Molino's going everywhere. I mean, Mercosur, he's at the, he was at Davos, he's been at, he's been everywhere. Well, those 2 ports are going to bid this month, in February, and like we've been telling you, the gas ducts are also going to go to bid. Now, Willie, why are the gas ducts so important? And I'm going to tell you, it's like all the ships that are needed to transfer all that gas through the canal no longer are going to be doing it. They just, park on either side and send it through the duct, through the pipes. So that means that other ships will be able to go and use that to help the economy.
Well, and think about this. That's one piece of that, and also from a logistical standpoint, okay, it's much more cost effective to bring a ship in, a big giant ship like that, loaded up with fuel, transfer that to the other side, and several smaller ships that can get their loads and go to their ports. And now you don't need one ship for each port. Correct. You can distribute it because not everybody's going to get the same loads in there. So it really does what it really does is, at the end of the day, the canal is not there to make money off of ships transiting. They're there to make money off of goods transiting. So whether they transit via the ship or the pipe, you're still making money on it. And that's the idea behind this, is that you're getting these other people that are saying, hey, you know what? It's not worth it for me to go through there and do all that when I really need to go a different direction. I need 3 other smaller ships. Where they're like, well, hell, dump your stuff here. We'll pump it across and get it to these other ships.
Yeah. However much you need. You need 2 gallons, 4 gallons, 10 gallons. We got
Absolutely.
you. $4 billion for that project. And then
fantastic move there.
Yeah. And the 2 ports, $2.6 billion. So I guess 1.3 each. So that's pretty good. I mean, Panama, we always say on this show, right? Panama's future looks really, really, really good. And then guys, back to the canal terminal. The canal ports. In 90 days, the bid will start. So it's only, I guess a year to a year and a half that will be in transition.
And they're being very, very transparent about this. That's the real key.
Extremely. And the good thing they also did, Willie, is that they hired the ex-canal administrator, Sosa.
Okay.
And he's also involved with the Zonian, the ex-Hammer Construction owners, Weiss, who happens to have his son sponsor our show. See how everything's connected when it comes to the canal?
There you go.
And the ex-canal administrator who's running the transition of the ports is in business with Weiss, ex-Hammer Construction owner, to build the port in Chiriquí.
How about that?
And for what, Willie? For Mercosur. Another news we've been informing you guys. All this stuff is tied together, guys. But anyways, well, that bidding is going to start really soon, and there's going to be a lot of business, cheng, like they like to say in Panama.
Yes, that's it.
Coming there, Willie. Willie, of course, like everybody knows, and we like to inform you on all the bochinche going on is, Willie, if you haven't by now heard, but everybody's heard about the monument out there on the other side of the bridge. What a fiasco. Well, guys, if you could believe it, has been pumped up even more now. There's still, the central government, which we here in the state call it the federal government. The central government in Panama had to step in, Willie. And, I guess they everybody saw what was coming with this ruling. So my personal opinion, this is just my opinion, the president had to throw a bone, so to speak,
make a statement.
Give a token of, hey, sorry guys, here, we'll let you have your monument. So the central government said, oh, you know what? We own those lands where that monument is. That's our lands. It's owned by the Caja de Ahorros.
Which is, it's that overlook, guys, on the West Bank when you came off of the Thatcher Ferry or the Bridge of the Americas. You could pull over there. It was just a parking lot. Okay, that's all it was. When it was railed off, it was all paved and everything, and you could park there and see the ships. But as we've learned from growing up in the zone, and in the last 2.5 years, we've learned a lot about the zone that we didn't know because, shame on us, but we didn't give a shit. right? And so none of us know
Yeah,
whatever part
when
they're
we
gonna-
crossed the bridge, because we were going to the beach, so
Right,
we were going to hang
stopping
around,
along
hang around the lookouts. But
I know my
anyway, so
dad said they used that place with the cops.
there was,
when
yeah,
they're
because there was
patrolling the
always
West Bank.
cops there. That's what I remember. There was always
Yes.
cops there
Because
parked there.
if anything, people would pull over there to go to the bathroom. You gotta pee, man.
I know when you read the comments about this specific topic, you see people go, man, I would stop there to go to use the bathroom. Nobody really stopped there to go honor 150 years of Chinese presence. But anyway, so the central government and the mayor of Arraiján are now battling who owns that. And so the central government is, moving forward with their plans, and the she's moving forward with her plans. So we got these two competing plans, or they're going to fight it out in court and see who owns the land. But yeah, that's what's going on with that. So I would say, Willie, at this point, 60-40 that it's going to be built. Yeah.
They're going to build something there, and then I hate to say it, but it's going to become almost insignificant. Because the size of that bridge that's coming in next to it is just going to completely dwarf
going
anything.
back, zooming by
And I
the
could be wrong,
subway
but I mean,
and
if
the
you look at
bullet.
the pilings, they're building it right next to it.
I know it's going to be sandwiched in between the two.
It is, and it's going to be a big, massive bridge. It's just, I mean, if it is, great, but whatever they put there, I'm not sure it's going to be something that's going to be noticed by a whole lot of people.
Well, I've seen,
and listen, the one that was there before when it got torn down was in complete neglect. It wasn't like people were,
plaster falling off and whatnot.
So.
I've seen both plans of what they're trying to do. There, one is real simple, the way the Canal Zone had it. Just flat, couple of monuments to say thanks for this and that. Bathrooms.
Like Leaf just put in a comment there. He sent me a picture, and it was in disrepair. And I mean, again, I'm not being critical one way or the other, but you can't make a lot of noise about something that you cared so much about when you really didn't care about it.
Well, I'll tell you what this whole fiasco has done. It has awakened Panamanians to, hey, we got all these monuments that are just falling apart. So now they're starting to either relocate them or fix them. Because you remember there's a Gandhi, there's a Roosevelt. I mean, there's even a Chinese cemetery. Again, we all know there's a Chinese Chinatown. So, and I've seen... but it's private land, these Chinese gardens that are just beautiful in Panama. I'll get photos and show you guys. But it is on like I think it's on the Escuela de China or something like that. La Escuela de República de China.
Right.
It's their grounds, but wow, beautiful. Like the Chinese tea gardens. I mean, it's just beautiful. But if one thing for sure, we're going to have a lot of new monuments all over Panama and relocated because some are just.
Well, and I think they still need to do something better for like the Culebra Cut, Gaylord Cut, whatever you want to call it, because that was the one. In my opinion, the most difficult task was cutting through a mountain.
Yeah, I agree.
And it deserves something that's worthy of the monumental task that it was.
Yeah, because they went back to Culebra Cuts, not Gaylord Cut anymore. Still Culebra Cut. How about Gaylord Highway? We got to ask our Panamanians if it's still called Gaylord Highway, or did they change it?
No, it's Omar Torrijos.
Omar Torrijos? No way. Poor Gaylord.
Well, remember
who was Gaylord again? Oh, he was the dredging guy.
Yeah, and remember we talked about this during our dictionary, because they, of the things that he did, and he was in charge of the Central Division. Remember, they had 3 divisions: the Atlantic Division, Pacific Division, and Central Division.
Correct.
And he ran that, which obviously included the Gaylord Cut or the Culebra Cut, and so they named
Balboa
it after him
in those areas.
I mean, that was he. I mean, if you look at it, and that's one of those things with this excavating the impossible that I'm working on is to give you a view of that area before the canal was dug. And if you can see it and you realize that they are literally cutting through a mountain, right? They're not, it's not a tunnel through a mountain, which, obviously we had tunnels through the Rockies, way back in the day and things like that. But this is they sliced in between the mountain. They created a whole trench all the way through. And that's
truly the ditch.
1905.
That's
right?
truly the
ditch.
ditch.
100% the big ditch.
The big ditch, yeah.
Yeah. So
well, guys, that's our update. I hope you guys enjoy that, and you are up to date on Panama News.
Yeah, absolutely. So the other thing then we want to talk about with hold on, let me throw in what Lee said. There's a South Korean monument down the street from the Balboa Yacht Club. Okay, interesting. I'm not sure what.
There's monuments all over Panama. That's what now they're starting to find out.
Of the world, you're going to have a lot of different communities there. I would assume so.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, makes sense. Check out all the mile markers on the highway. Still Gaylord Highway mile. Okay, right on.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I always knew that as Gaylord Highway, but it's my understanding that it's now called. In fact, I believe when you look on Google Maps, you put the street maps on there, it shows it as Omar Torrijos.
Gotcha. I mean, that's a good name too.
So,
respectful.
It is. It's a Panama version of somebody who's important to them, I guess.
You know what? It's really after we study the riots. One thing I'll tell you about Torrijos, again, my opinion, guys, is. The people that were there before him that took over the government, they were the bad guys, actually. And Torrijos actually got rid of all those guys. So in a way, the Canal Zone could have been really left, almost communist.
Like Coach Cotton said and my dad said during that show, the Panamanian police scattered like cockroaches when you turn on the lights. They were just standing by watching people
and we're going to get into that, and we have an idea why. But anyway, so Torrijos at the end of the day did do good for at least better hands. Could have been worse. So I guess he gets the road name.
Our show is all about the past. Our show is all about nostalgia and everything. And last week there was some extreme nostalgia, you could call it.
It was Canal Zone all over Panama.
To the tune of 600 plus people.
From the Canal Zone reunion to the tree burn to the ocean to ocean motorcycle race. Yeah, that is all Zonian.
There was a lot of cool stuff that went on at this Canal Zone reunion. It was, you started like Jim just said a little while ago, the amount of pictures flowing in and Napoli's was a big one. There's a lot of people went there. That is really an iconic Canal Zone place, is Napoli's. I saw, just looking at that pie. The pie hasn't changed in 50 years, man. It looks
the dining room. That dining room looks the same. Even the tables look the same.
Yeah.
The oven is definitely the same.
It was great to see huge crowds there. And you see that a lot. There seems to be, I would say, probably in the last 10, 15 years, and maybe it's just something we notice because it's our age group, but a lot of people in our generation are moving back to the zone or back to Panama. And so you see a lot more visits to Napoli's, it seems, online. But there's no doubt that Napoli's loves the Zonians, whether in 1978 or in 2026, man. They welcome them, and you could just see everybody there. There was not a single complaint about that place. Everybody just had an absolute blast there, and it just...
the memories, awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
Really cool to see. And then, of course, you see, they had that Spirit of 76. The Class of 76 had a big show there with James Slater, who has been on our show. And that one, even Alex, who's an entertainer, right? Alex has been, doing music and entertaining now for many, many years. And he even said, this guy's he's something else.
On a great show, yeah.
Right? Remember our show in October, how much fun we had with him on, just very casually throwing the piano keys out as he's talking and everything. Just a total
Has he agreed to come back on this year again? I think he did, right? We're going to have him on again this year. Once a year, we're going to have him on.
Absolutely.
Hopefully
we
twice
have
a year.
Him on. Well, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind, in all honesty, and I'm going to throw it out there just for shits and giggles, but I think it would be cool to have some kind of a music type show every couple of months.
Pulling that off is going to be hard, really.
Yeah, I know, but listen, hey, we're happy at the Balboa.
Now that we know how the technology works,
we're able to
4 rooms with the same sound, the same time, with the same light. No, Willie, man, we're not there yet. Well, I'm sure by then AI will do it for us.
Yeah, no, it was.
But that would be awesome if we can get a concert. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. There's something, James Slater is an extremely talented musician, right?
Yep.
He's Grammy
2 Grammy Awards.
I mean, this guy is
2
just
nominations.
But he's also a great entertainer, right? So he brings both those to the table, and as
you guys saw on the show.
Yeah, I mean, there's something even his I mean, he's got magical fingers with that piano, you know, and I think that there's, you know, some musical show involving different decades in the zone, maybe with a spillway or something that he could throw in some music, and I think it would be a lot of fun. So
look right there, that's the Canal Zone look right there. The hat, the long sleeve t-shirts.
But yeah, and the Cicero's made a big appearance. So there's Mark there chiming in. You guys did. Listen, you guys had a blast. You made the best of that trip, Mark. I am so sorry I couldn't make it down because, man, I definitely.
Mark representing Class of 81. By the way, Mark, we got a committee. Class of 81 is going to have a committee for the reunion. So all you Class of 81 guys, chime in. I'll let you know what's happening.
Absolutely. Yeah, Class of 81, get ready. This is your what, 45th?
No, like 25th.
Your 15th or something, like last year.
Plus another 20. No, just kidding.
But,
I think it's 45th. 40 or 45th? What are the two?
We are 40th.
Oh, you're 40? We're 45. 45. But ask Mark. It was like yesterday. 45 years. Come on.
It seemed like it, doesn't it? Yeah, it was a lot. Listen, these guys had a lot of fun. A lot of people that went down for the first
my little
time
sister.
in many years.
Over 600 people, Willie. Oh my
when we
goodness!
This, I've got some stats here because Alex sent us some pretty.
Yeah, we got some numbers. We got the facts, Willie.
Yeah, it was really cool. James said, "What happened? Everything disappeared here."
Hey, Margie, Class of 81. Right on, man. We're gonna have a good reunion, guys.
Yeah, you guys did
We're getting viejito, man. I gotta go see everybody.
Had a really good reunion. I saw a lot of those guys there. The other one that seemed really cool that I saw a lot of pictures is that Panama Railroad, right?
Oh yeah, what are the numbers on that? I have it right here.
Yeah, we've got the numbers. We'll throw the numbers at the
310 passengers.
Out there and then
310 passengers for the railroad, my friend.
Yeah,
paying that right on Canal Zone.
It was really well done. It was just like everything else these guys did. They really hit a home run. They hit it out of the park here.
5 cruises.
So we're not going to say it at the end. We're not going to give this.
I thought we were on that segment. We're not on the Canal's reunion segment.
So this is why Ricky needs a headset. You know, we do show prep. We're going to do it this way. We're going to do this, and then all of a sudden he just wings.
No, listen. Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. I'm a real serious architect, real serious guy. You know, I'm real quiet, if you can believe it. So then Friday, 3 p.m. But my mouth just starts going, man.
Yes, that he does. He does well, man. No, seriously though, there was. You'll see when we get done with this whole segment. We're going to talk about the numbers because these guys put together a massive reunion. I mean, it in every way, matches what these guys do up here in Orlando, which, as we know, is a monumental task.
Doubled. They doubled in numbers, almost like 60% numbers,
and the logistics behind it. I mean, it's amazing. The evening, the music pieces. They had a lot of different bands. Of course, Shorty and Slim. You don't have a reunion without Shorty and Slim typically. So
Lollapalooza.
It was a good time. They had another just kind of a jam session, didn't they? Or was that?
They were all bands and DJs, so there was no jam session like there was last year.
A little bit organized,
my brother.
Nonetheless, yeah, Robbie was there. That was our class of '86. Had a great turnout. That was a lot of fun. In fact, remember they chimed in and they were watching the show. That was really cool. That really made my night. I was really bummed that I couldn't make it. I would have loved to have seen a lot of faces that I haven't seen in probably 40 years. And so it would have been really good to see them. Hopefully, we'll see some of those in Orlando in the summertime. But the other one that I heard a lot of big reviews on was the evening cruises, the bay cruises in Panama. Beautiful views.
There's Barsness. He's always on our show.
Yep. They were just
5 cruises.
They did, man.
5. I mean, like last year they had 2.
Go ahead and just read all the stats. You might as well get them all out now. It's unbelievable, man. And then here's the thing about it is Ricky will email me like 3 different show things. Okay, we're gonna do this.
Yeah, we're gonna do this first, this second, third, like that.
All right,
yeah,
we'll do that. All right, we'll do this, and all of a sudden, no, never mind. But,
Mr. Audible. Hey, I was a quarterback, so we can audible.
There you go, and now you see why. And that's a typical of a Balboa Rams quarterback for you. Not in lightweights, because you didn't dare do that in lightweights. Not with Coach Cotton. You know, heavyweights, you can start getting away with that stuff. You know, maybe in
Oh,
high
I
school,
love
depending on
these
your-
pictures. Everybody's just so happy.
That's another one cool one right there, the Al Sprague tour. They had 2 different tours there, right? And they went and visited, first they started at the Causeway because that's where it all started. Right? He's got a plaque there that the government of Panama has put there to showcase where it all started, where his first, you know, painting took place and where he created that vision that then became Al Sprague, right?
And both communities, both cultures, you know, endorse it. You know, the Panamanians and the Canal Zone.
And not just recently. Al Sprague has been embraced by the Panamanian people, the government, as much as the Canal Zone government and the United States government for many, many years, and for obvious reasons. I mean, you know, this guy captured Panama like nobody's business. For those of you that don't know, if you go into our live streaming shows on YouTube, in 2024 in September, we had Al Sprague on. We had him on for 3 hours, guys. It was a fantastic show, and this guy was just, I mean, a true Zonian in every way, shape, or form.
You know, Willie, I think it's his last Canal Zone performance. You know, I mean, of talking to the Canal Zone community.
His last public appearance was on our show.
Public appearance.
It was. And it was just a really, really fun show.
So catch it. It's funny. It's hilarious.
It was. You know, we certainly talked about his art and his paintings, but a lot of that interview focused on him growing up being a Zonian.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
a kid
From a kid on.
Yeah, and it was just a really, really fun time, and I never imagined that he was going to stay on for that long, but he did. It was. Al Sprague,
that was our longest show, but well deserved. Yeah,
and rightly so. Absolutely, it was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and Cassie, you know, and she's just absolutely maintained that legacy, and she, you know, she's doing him proud, right? She has just been awesome as a representative of that Al Sprague legacy, and now
grandson.
His grandson Alfred Taylor is, you know, he's got his line Pasha's Perch, which was, remember, Pasha was their boat. And they're doing awesome. It's a really cool Zonian story, and we were just very fortunate to be able to have him on our show as well. That was just a lot of fun, man.
Oh, look at the fishing! Wow, they
had a fishing tournament there. There's David Seitz with his big catch there, and I was fooling around with some AI and decided to make him feel a little better. I gave him a bigger fish, and then I turned around and had a fish catching him. So it was pretty cool. But they had a good fishing tournament. They had a great golf tournament. I didn't get any picks on the golf tournament, so unfortunately I didn't have any here. But we'll maybe try a round 2 of this maybe next week or the week after, because there's still a lot of pictures flowing in. A lot of good events there. They had, of course, the what do they call it? The Panazonian Jamboree, you know, which was the big pool party and stuff was there. Vendors were huge there. A lot of great stuff there to get from the vendors. Yeah. You know, they did well there. And then they had that the Pindin, right?
That was huge.
And go ahead, Ricky, throw the stat out. You know you're dying to.
On the Pindin? Oh wait, I don't have much stats on that. One thing for sure that I know that our favorite mayor was invited to the Pindin. Yes. I hope he made it. I don't know if he made it or not.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. The mayor of Panama, our favorite mayor. Yeah, you're right. He was there also. In fact, let me see if I've got
the picture of him.
Yeah, this is him right there.
But listen, the I do have the numbers there, guys. I got to it. Mi Pueblito's where they had it. There's our mayor, our favorite mayor. 5 open bars because you pay to get in. So you had open bars. You had 4 food trucks. Shorty and Slim, of course, with DJ Blitz, who's a Zonian. And then not only that, they had busings from all 3 hotels. I mean, they almost had to kick them out, Willie, because they didn't. The Zonians, typical of us, right? They didn't want to leave, and they had to kick them out. You know, truly, I go to restaurants. I'm always the last one to go. I mean, that is just a Zonian DNA trait right there. You know, we always close down wherever we go. Theater, restaurant.
Okay, that's Dave Smith. Okay?
I love him. He's really talented.
That's one of the oldest families in the Canal Zone.
That's right, because they came to build the railroad. Correct. And by the way, happy birthday, railroad. They 171 years on January 28th.
Yes,
so happy birthday.
Little
cheers for that.
2 days ago. Salute, indeed, because that's
where it all
railroad. That's where it all started, and we'll talk about that here in just a bit on our recap of the show. But it was there's a lot of cool things that happened at that reunion. Nodia Garcia, who's been on our show, was also there doing a presentation about the Panama Railroad.
Yes.
So that was really cool.
So it had some great cultural seminars. Yes,
Absolutely.
incredible. Well, it's my little sister.
It was just a fantastic job, and as you can see right there, this is the staff, guys. These guys did an absolutely bang-up job, as Ricky said. Okay, these guys had. I'll give you all the stats now. Now we get a little bit of a little bit more of
on the numbers,
because it really was an absolutely incredible. So check this out, guys. This is what the Canal Zone reunion brought to you, or gave you, or brought in. Okay, so here you go. Over 600 people attended, and that's 600 that registered, because Zonians and Panamanians.
Yeah, right. I was going to say those are registered people, right? Correct. Those are the responsible people.
Yes, exactly. No injuries. Right
We had 600 responsible people there, man. So that's pretty good.
No injuries, so we love that.
No injuries. Love
like
that.
Ricky said earlier, 5 cruises, and that was it. Listen, for you guys in the class of '87. Okay, the class of '82, class of '77, all you guys, if you're planning on your reunion down there, when they released and opened up the ticket sales, this stuff sold out in minutes.
Correct.
Okay?
That's again another DNA level tradition of the Canal Zone was Bay Cruises. We've been doing that since the 50s, 40s.
Yeah,
that's the Grattidis family. They brought all that. Jason Grattidi and Lainey Grattidi's their family.
So they had 5 cruises, okay, because again they kept selling out. They had to get more and more and more, but there's a finite number you can do, right? And so make sure you get it. Not to mention, if you wait till the last minute, you end up on that ship with not the cool people, right? So you
Everybody there is cool.
But anyway, 5 or 9 bus tours. 9 bus tours. I know that, like, again, the Al Sprague one, they had buses for that.
The Howard, and the that was big.
Big one and stuff.
The Reposa, to go to Reposa, go check that out.
Correct. They had 2 Chiva Paranderas, which is basically a party bus, but a Chiva bus, right? Awesome, a lot of fun.
I hate to say it.
That's the part, because you're not just partying, having fun, but you're going through a neighborhood that you recognize to a certain extent. A lot of it has changed, but it's kind of nice to go through those neighborhoods, partying, having a good time, and just along with all your friends.
Another Canal Zone tradition. Where in Panama did you see Panamanian schools renting Chiva buses to have parties? We've been doing that since the 60s. So that's another DNA level tradition.
Those Chivas had never been rented out to Panama. In fact, I guarantee the Panamanians would look at and say, that's beneath me. Right? They would
not for us. I saw many Toga party people getting on those Chiva buses. Yeah. We love those little Chivas.
But yeah, and imagine being on those Chivas. Right? You're having a good time. You've been partying all day. You've been just immersed in Canal Zone, and now you're going through the old neighborhoods. How many times did somebody on that bus utter the phrase, "Hey, I remember when they went around a corner and saw something"? And it's, "Hey, do you remember this place? You remember?" And that's what
I bet a lot of tears too.
Yeah, certainly, a lot of that as well. And that's again the big difference between this reunion and the reunion in Orlando is that this one is a lot of experiences. Orlando's a great place to reconnect with people. Yep. This is a place to reconnect with the Canal Zone, right? They're both great. They both have their value, and for people like myself that lives here in Tampa, where I can go to the reunion every year there, whether I don't have to make a lot of plans for it. It's really cool because you really do connect with a lot of people there. It really is a place to do that. Whereas again, this one here that they had in Panama, you're connecting with the Canal Zone. You haven't been there in a while. They have pole dancing on this. Well, hey, again, Zonians love tradition, don't they? So that works.
Hey, we got a little update here on Napoli's. We asked the guys to go by, check out if the remodels were going on. Looks like they're not remodeling anything.
Well, it may have been behind.
Well, it's summer too, It's.
Well, no, I'm thinking because they did close. They had announced that was official. They had announced they had it on their door and everything. What I'm thinking is maybe they remodeled the kitchen. They modernized some equipment there.
Could have updated the equipment, but not the oven, but the rest of the stuff, like the prep tables and that stuff. The three-pump sinks.
Or it could have been the other location, the one in El Barrio. But I know that that they were closing in November for remodeling. That was something they were announcing on their pages and everything.
Oh yeah, let's a little toast to our good friend Guy Payne, who was a viewer, never missed a show when he was around. All right, man, Guy, to you, brother. Cheers from the Canal Zone.
You know, Guy would have been somebody that for sure would have, well, you know, obviously with his health issues, you know, he talking wasn't his thing, but he was an avid surfer. That Payne family was just big into surfing, and we've been talking about that surfing show. We you know, heard from Ted Henter last week about surfing, and that was another thing, by the way. He emailed me after the show and said, "Hey, I'm serious about being on that surfing show." So he absolutely wants to be on that surfing show. We definitely got to do that one, because that's another one of those Canal Zone legacies that we really got to learn the true story of how all that took place. And who discovered
because we've heard many things. Yeah.
He even teased a little bit about it last week on the show, where he, you know, the name Malibu, where it came from, and that stuff, right? So it's we definitely have to do that, and I'm glad that he brought that up. So but anyway, back to the staff here, okay, because we just went down 3 rabbit holes in one swoop there. 2 Chivas Parranderas. The golf tournament, they had 90 golfers. Well done, 90 golfers, man. That's awesome. That's a big turnout, man. Okay.
And that golf course, Summit Golf Course, like beyond out of this world, with all the the nature that you're playing in, and the animals that pop out of nowhere and stuff like that. Yeah. No kidding. So it's an incredible golf course.
Yeah. They did that. So 90 people there, and then the railroad, the Panama Railroad, which again is just a fantastic experience, right? It's you know, if you ever rode the railroad back in the day, you know, it's nothing like that here. Now we have those beautiful dome cars and everything like that.
Yeah, you'll see a picture pop up here in a minute. Yeah, 310 passengers, like I said earlier. That's a lot of people, man.
That one was probably one of the first ones to fill up, mind you. Okay, so
that
again,
class
of 77, 87, 82, you know, 92, whoever, any of those that are getting ready to do theirs, as soon as they announced and they open up that website, I mean, if it's 8 a.m., be up at 7:30, get your stuff ready to go, because those things sell out really, really fast. Music, you know, we know that the Zone was an absolute gem for music. We had bands, it was just a you know, like everywhere else, music's always a great gatherer of people, right? And we've had several rock and roll bands and members and musicians on our show over the last year and a half. And they had 6 live music presentations. Local CZ bands, including Frank Prieto, Woodstock from Clayton, of course, Shorty and Slim. You had Los Vegas with Lisa Palm. A lot of good shows there, a lot of great music. And of course, James Slater, who's been on our show, was down there and had a great show, as we talked about earlier, that class of 76. So music was definitely big here. They had a lot of good music shows. If you like live music, the Panama Canal Zone Reunion is a fantastic place to go, because you get in every single night. It seems like they had a live gig, man. What else? 2 Zonian DJs. They had Mark C. and then DJ Blitz, like we just said, was Dave Smith. And listen, Dave Smith, if you don't know him, follow him on Facebook, because in addition to being a great, and listen, guys, he's been DJing since the 80s. This guy loves his DJing gig, and he's great.
What those guys called? They were called something boys. No, the Mango Boys. I think that's who started that whole thing, Mango, because they were the Mango Boys. It was Kevin Joyce. I forget all the guys, but the Mango Boys,
yeah.
That's all that stuff. Those Loboca Boys were all into that.
That's right, yeah. Well,
like he's generations of them.
He's continued doing it. He does it up here. I know there's a big club here in Tampa called Jackson's, and he was there for many years DJing there. So
at the reunion, somebody always hires him at the reunion.
Always, and there again, guys, make sure if you want some good music, a great DJ, and a great Zonian, it's Dave Smith.
He's tied. He knows our rhythm.
Yeah,
he knows the songs we like.
But he did good there. Saturday Jamboree had over 30 artisan vendors. Wow. And you see a picture of them holding those gift bags and stuff. But they had a lot of great participation there. You know who recently is putting out some great drink cups and tumblers also? Is oh my God, her name just popped into me and it just popped out.
Aside from Ruthie MacArthur.
Yes, aside from Ruthie MacArthur and Balboa Trading Company, it's I just had her.
Yeah. Kevin Joyce and Larry Smith. That's who started that. So that's Smith's older brother, Larry, my age group.
Ah, there you go.
So they started it all as the Mango Boys.
Kelly Dawson, look her up on Facebook, guys. She puts out. She got the rights to. Who's the guy that was also an artist that used to do a lot of beautiful hand drawings? Who just passed away recently? Oh my God, I can't. David something. God, I hate that I'm so bad with names. It really is. I've got a really good memory, guys, except for names. Names, for whatever reason, have never been my.
Not David Young, because he's a good artist, but I hope it's not him. I was going to say,
no,
yeah.
It wasn't him. But anyway, he painted a lot of wildlife pictures of animals and stuff, and he would hand draw them all the time. If somebody knows in the chat, throw it in there.
Yeah, at the reunion, one of the Zonian artists that worked for Disney, he was there doing a bunch of drawings.
He did a presentation there.
Presentation, yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. They had a lot of those as well. A lot of educational stuff. A lot of great people came up and spoke. But anyway, she's got a great line of tumblers as well with some authentic Panama art on it. I think, is it David Harris? Does that name ring a bell? Is David Harris an artist, a Panamanian artist also, or a Zonian artist? Anyhow, but look her up also, Kelly Dawson. She has some really cool tumblers as well. But yeah, overall, like I said, the Jamboree 30 artisan vendors, they had 6 raffles. They had 9 showcase speakers. That's what we're talking about. Those showcase speakers, they had 9. Right, so you definitely went down there and learned a lot of things as well, right? And in addition to having a good time, educational topics. They had a great poolside party, and then that night, the grand finale, that Pinding, right? Which was at Mi Pueblito. Mi Pueblito is apparently this place up in Ancon Hill up there somewhere that's supposed to be the place, man, to go and hang out or whatever. But they said that was a full blowout. Like Ricky just said, they had 5 open bars. They had 4 food trucks. Shorty and Slim was there. DJ Blitz was there playing. And they had busing to and from all 3 hotels. So you didn't have to worry about parking and Ubering and cabs and all that stuff. David Peterson Art, thank you so much for that. Oh, did you put up the Ricky? Sorry.
Class of 81, man. We are on top.
Yeah, right on. Very good. Yes, but so look her up. Kelly Dawson has some really cool mugs.
Yeah,
and they have
that's a great.
Beautiful.
You know, they lived in Panama like the Thrushes, but they're Zonians as Zonian gets.
Yeah,
because they were with us at St. Mary's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So check them out though. But that was so. Anyway, bottom line, guys. Canal Zone Reunion Committee. Job well done, man. You guys are absolute champs. You definitely deserve that. Well, anything else we can get you guys? Because we gotta give you some more kind of love there. That'd be something else.
A lot of love. My little sister was involved in that, so that makes me happy.
It was. No, they did an absolutely fantastic job with that. It was well done. That was the 2026 Canal Zone Reunion. And so now they've tentatively set dates for next year for the 2027. I think it's the 20th through the 24th of January.
Steve Tuckerman there.
Yep. Yeah, Steve was there as well. Yeah, they had a great. There's a cool picture there somewhere of Steve jumped in. They were in somebody's SUV, and he was all the way in the back row, and it was such a throwback to the zone. I can just see that, where there's all the seats are full. Well, you just jump in the back, man. It was.
Can you imagine the stories on that car on the way out there? Holy cow!
Yeah, no kidding, man. No kidding. So, but super job, guys. Congratulations. Well done to all of you. Y'all definitely earned yourselves a vacation. And as we said earlier, now on to Canal Zone Reunion Orlando. And let's go there. The Pan Canal Society. It all starts with that membership. Okay.
Yep. And tomorrow's the deadline.
Tomorrow's the deadline.
You can still sign up, but there'll be an additional cost.
$10, man. But either way, it's still just a great deal. I mean, listen, $50 for the year is a steal. Okay, that's less than $1 a week to be a member of the Pan Canal Society. Help them to keep bringing us and keep this Canal Zone story alive and this great legacy and whatnot. I tell you that being on a committee with Zonians is a pleasure, efficiency, and teamwork all the way. Right on. That's the Canal Zone way.
That's a Canal Zone way right there.
The Canal Zone was run that way. It's true. That's part of the Zonian
DNA level.
Yeah, no kidding, brother. No kidding, man. That's exactly what that is. Well, and thank you for being as part of that as well and putting that on. We are going to
now we get him back.
Yeah, we got to get HB back. We had him for a little while there. So it was almost like it was
a busy guy.
It was, man. It was almost like a tease, man. He's like, okay, listen, I'm just going to do this, and then we'll talk contract, and we'll see what we can do here. So we have to work something out. Maybe get another sponsor in here to help, bring HB into the
get HB on because he does bring up Full House wherever he goes.
He does want to put on. He they did that Theater Guild presentation, the 75th anniversary, and he's going to come in and do some Theater Guild stuff here because that's another great Canal's own legacy was the Theater Guild, and I didn't know this until I started seeing pictures of it, and we started talking about recently. But Jennifer Aniston, her dad. Right, and if you remember her dad, what was the soap that he was in that was a big one? Was it Days of Our Lives or something? That he was like, I think he was like Victor Kiriakis or something. But he was. I mean, this guy was a bona fide star.
Yeah,
man.
he was legit. Yeah, he was legit.
And when he was stationed in Panama in the Navy, he performed at the Theater Guild. So that's the legacy the Theater Guild had. That he
performed and directed.
Yes, he did, man. So, a lot of really cool stuff there and really looking forward to having HB join us and giving us that history because that's another one of those,
And that little building is still there, right there in front of the old railroad.
It's
railroad station.
It's amazing that so many big places have undergone so many changes and yet that place has managed to just kind of stay under the radar.
And it was already like rinky-dink back in the day, with all wood and, in between trees everywhere.
Yeah, man. It is. Yeah, good for them, man. So, yeah, hopefully we can get that work on that here soon and bring you guys some Theater Guild stories because there's a lot of great
Oscar
ones
winner.
there. Who else would agree to join us for that is Melanie Bales.
Oh, yes.
She
The
said
Bales.
she would
They
love to come on
definitely.
and tell us about, talked about her history with the Theater Guild. So, yeah, between UHB and Melanie, I think we can have a fantastic Theater Guild show. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Loggia performed. Wow. So Robert Loggia, what was he in? Wasn't he in Scarface?
Oh, that's right.
Loggia, right? He was Frank.
Oh, Frank. Yeah. The big Dieter they got knocked out.
Yeah, that he went groveling to him after when he knew he was going to die. Oh, please. He got down on his knees and went and kissed his
He
shoes.
goes, hey, what are we going to do with Frankie? Frankie's like, hey, Frankie, you want a job?
Hey, man, you got a job. He walks out, the guy's just shaking like a leaf. What a great
Swinging,
flick.
a great movie. Great. Hey, that movie came out in 1980, guys. That's
Right.
45 years ago.
Right. That's
Not a winner, but so what? Nominated. Good enough.
No, that's recognized for the accomplishment either way. But it's cool that in the zone in a place like that being so small, but yet it had that draw that even people from the military and everywhere else, if they were in the zone, swing by there, man. There's some good stuff going on there.
And every year, Willie, the United Way, there was always plays and shows and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So,
it was.
well-funded.
That legacy came out of the schools, right? Because Balboa High School, at that age, it's sometimes, life is kind of funny the way things work, right? Because as high school kids at that age, if you're into the plays and you're into that stuff, you're into it. Great. Unfortunately, most of us that weren't into it, right? And so we go to watch a play in school, and it's a chance to get the hell out of class, is what it was, But we didn't appreciate what these guys were doing up there, Now we look back and go, man, that was great what you
But
did.
I'll tell you what, they were never like bad.
That's what I'm saying.
They
We
weren't.
didn't
They were always
appreciate
good
it.
production. Yeah.
You know?
And that auditorium was quite nice too.
It was.
Yeah, the Balboa High
Listen, the
School
zone did
auditorium.
not spare, as we've learned. They made sure that you were going to go and live there and not want to leave, right? Because they didn't want to have to
Correct.
replenish their employees constantly, and that's why we had so many multi-generational families. Because when you got there, once the work was done and the canal started functioning and the canal zone now was built into what it was going to become, dude, they made sure that people were happy, they were taken care of, that you didn't want for anything,
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just
through
and
our
that's-
research, we found out that was policy. Keep
Yeah.
them here. Entertainment was a big part of their policy and their budgets.
You look at Balboa Theater. What a big theater for such a small town. I mean, think about it.
Think about it. You're right about that.
Huge, man. But that was the zone mindset. Make it great, make people love this place, man, and not want to leave. And that's what
That's
we
a good
saw.
point. That theater was ginormous.
It was.
All
I mean, I guess it probably was full. I mean, I was a young kid, but maybe like I remember like.
Oh,
for
it
Ben-
would. I mean,
For
Jaws.
whatever reason,
Tower
Jaws,
Inferno. All those
Benji,
shows were packed.
That's true.
That's
true. Yeah, I think like
and then they ran it like 3, 4, 5 days. It wasn't like just one showing.
Yeah, and then they had that owl show. I never went to the owl show, but it
Me,
would be
I went to the owl show. Yeah.
that was
That was
the
cool.
cool. That was the cool people went to that. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
That's where Coach Khan would be driving by and see if he can catch any Balboa rams who were outside.
All the rams were there, guaranteed. And there was like different sections where you sat, like
Right.
couples over here, Rugrats over there. The football players over there. Everybody had like a different section of where they had to
There was
sit at
different levels of
that
coolness.
theater. Yeah, different levels, right?
Everyone had their own coolness.
And you had to sit at your place, your area.
It's the zone, man. God,
The zone, man. How we grew up, man. Love it. And of course, before everybody hung out in front of the clubhouse, right there in the front, right there. Remember that? Everybody would be hanging out there.
The circle up there, on the wall. Remember walk around that wall. I used to walk around that wall. When my mom would be grocery shopping sometimes, I'd just sit there and walk around the wall in Stevens Circle. Just hang
Stevens
out.
Circle?
Yeah. It was, that was just, the zone was home, man. It was made to be home. It was made to be welcoming, safe, secure, fun, enjoyable. It was
In
all
abundance.
Yes. You didn't lack for anything, man. And then you had the benefit, whether you had Panamanian blood or not, you had the benefit of going across the street and you're in Panama. And for the most part,
Graham Morrison's.
Yeah,
I always went to Graham
the
Morrison's.
other building next to Graham Morrison's across the street. That was a fun place too for some people. But yeah, that was a zone, man. And that's what we want to do here is bring you that zone every chance we get. So any thoughts that you guys have on something else we want to learn or talk about, by all means bring it out there, because there's still a lot of the zone that we thought we knew about and we're little by little learning.
Well, we'll keep bringing them in, Willie. We'll keep bringing those guests.
Well, one of the people that does help us a lot with that is our historian, Dave Dahlstrom, who, by the way, also happy birthday, Dave Dahlstrom. You had a birthday yesterday, the day before, if I'm not mistaken. And, every month Dave joins us the first of the month. And as you can see, we've been, upgrading a lot of our graphics and stuff. And it started out with Dave's show. We've gotten a lot of great feedback for it. So we're going to continue doing that. But let's recap some of what January brought us here. We started out again with Dave Dahlstrom, and this month it was Canal's own Panama Railroad history.
The railroad, right?
With this anniversary coming up, as Ricky mentioned earlier, 171 years, and so we learned a lot of cool facts about it, as far as profitability, how much money this thing made, and, the amount of people that crossed over. And Ricky, what was that number that they talked about when it came to the tolls or I guess what a ticket was to cross the isthmus? And what that would be equivalent to today?
$3,000 to cross. What's the cost of a ticket?
I mean, you're talking first class across the ocean, man. For a 48 kilometer or 48 mile train ride.
Absolutely. But you know what, Willie? If it wasn't for that train, the French would have never wanted to build the canal. It was the profitability of that train is what got the French to say, you know what, let's go invest down there
100%.
and build the canal.
It was the most profitable company in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first Atlantic to Pacific or Pacific to Atlantic railroad.
Yeah, and protected by the U.S. Marines. Yes,
it sure was, which is why we mentioned earlier the history that the military has in Panama is predates the Zonians, and it's just been going on. But that was something really cool that he talked about there. It was really interesting to learn how the railroad, and not over a short period of time. This happened over 171 years, but it evolved it seems like about every, about 60, 70 years it has evolved, right? Because it started in 1855 to move passengers. And that's what it did for about 60, 70 years. And then the French come in to build a canal. Obviously, we know that one failed. The U.S. came in to build it. And one of the very first things that the United States realized was that the current road we have will never allow us to build this canal. Because for every bucket of dirt, of rock that you're digging out, the spoil they call it, got to move it somewhere. All of us that grew up on the Pacific side, we grew up on spoil. Now, our entire community of Balboa and Amador, all that is spoil. They filled all that in and raised it up because that was all swampy area that created these towns. There was all that spoil. So if you can envision those small railroad cars filled up with rock, how many of those had to make those trips to fill that up? You look at Gatun Dam. It's the base of that is over a mile wide. Okay, a lot of spoil there. So the first thing that the Americans realized when they took over to build this canal was, we got to upgrade this railroad big time. And we got to transition from a single line going across the isthmus to literally hundreds of miles of lines that are moved on a daily basis to keep digging and keep moving dirt. And that's what it did for that entire function, for many years. Then once that completed, it went back to its passenger service, limited fashion, of course. And then another 60, 70 years later, it transitioned once again to what it's currently doing today. It does have a passenger line, but it's really not what's making it money. The Panama Railroad is moving freight, a ton of freight.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting to see how it's evolved over the years, and it's still essential. It still continues to run, but for different purposes. Still Atlantic and Pacific, though, right?
Yeah, Merck bought that as well. So man, they're really invested in Panama.
Sure did. And then the last thing we talked about, which we've already covered here briefly a moment ago, was that whole Chinese fiasco. That's kind of when it started, the beginning of the month here. And so we kind of briefly touched a little bit on that, on the Bridge of the Americas, the history of it, and we still have a lot of people, like our friend Leaf, that says it's the Thatcher Ferry Bridge. It's not the Bridge of the Americas. So
I call it the Thatcher's Ferry Bridge still. Yeah. I don't think I recall
that was the original name.
That
it only lasted about 3 days, but that was the name. And then
that was a big deal back then, to name it correctly.
That was from how would you call it, from a significant standpoint, right? From an optical standpoint, it was almost as big as the riots in 64. In a sense that this was a bridge built by the Americans, built by the zone. It was spanning the Canal Zone only, but that was the one route that was, you think of it like back in the Cold War in West Germany, right? You had Berlin was in East Germany, but you had those corridors that were specific for the U.S. and for the Allies to go through, and the Russians didn't occupy that. It's kind of like the Bridge of the Americas was. That was still Panamanians could access that, and they wouldn't have to worry about it, and they're technically going through the Canal Zone, right? And so that was one area that caused that friction, because the Americans were like, hey, this is our bridge, it's in the zone, we built it, it's going right over the Thatcher Ferry, so we're going to call it the Thatcher Ferry Bridge. Panama was like, whoa, this is our highway, dude. It goes from one border to the other. That's our road. That part of the treaty stipulates that is our road for free passage. This is the Bridge of the Americas. And ultimately they
what year was that? 60?
Well, the bridge was completed in 62. So
62.
And,
so 2 years before the flag riots.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is where things started to get tight. We need more. We need more. This is going too slow.
And one could almost argue, Ricky, that the fact that it became the Bridge of the Americas was showing that, hey, you know what, we can push and these guys will acquiesce. And, because then 64 came, they pushed and pushed and pushed. And that triggered then, of course, negotiations, which ultimately
led to the treaties.
77. So,
yeah.
But that was really, it was interesting. It was, the beginning of the month. Our history shows are always really cool like this because, we are learning some good stuff here. And now with this new graphic format that we're doing, it's really cool. It's really engaging. There's a lot more fun here. So, if you guys enjoyed Dave's shows, they're going to be enjoying me even more now because Dave's been gracious in that he sends me the stuff ahead of time and we start creating the graphics. So now we've got a really, really good system going here that we're tweaking here. But yeah, it makes it more engaging that way. And you get a lot more out of it, I think, doing it this way. So I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, the following week then, of course, as we just said, was the 1964 riots. That was January 9th, which actually was the day that the riots kicked off. Right. We had my dad, Ron Benninghoff, join us, not as a Canal Zone police officer, but as a photographer for the U.S. Air Force. He was in the Air Force at the time. He came in here as a media person, not a law enforcement person. And so he was assigned to go and film that stuff and watch it. And Coach Cotton hadn't joined the police force yet. He joined a few months after that. But he was there. Right. And one of the big controversies that we've learned about these riots was that when the Panamanians came to raise that flag at the high school, the story, the narrative out there is that a scuffle broke out between the Panamanians and the American students, and they started pulling on the flag, and next thing you know, it ripped up. And so therefore, the story went back to Panama that the Americans had desecrated the Panamanian flag, which of course infuriated everybody. And then you had 4 days of rioting and burning and shooting and killing and everything else. But as Coach Cotton said, he goes, I was there.
Who was an eyewitness. Yes.
And that somebody fell and they were holding onto the flag. And as they fell, they didn't let go and they tore it. So it was amongst themselves. They did it completely accidental. It wasn't anything to do with a scuffle of any kind. But as we know, all it takes is one rumor and You know,
And
especially-
but you know, Willie, what we found out, what was happening before, and we found this out after the show. So let me quickly touch on this. So what was happening, guys, and the reason why the Balboa High School students were so riled up and rah 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 and looked like, you know, they were ready to play the jamboree or something, was they had this, all the students. Before the students went on Christmas vacation, the law was already, I mean, the order was already out there that only going to put up flags in like 16 different places. One of them was not going to be the high school, that all the flags were going to be in the classrooms. So the students were like, no, we don't want that. You know, of course.
That was a
that's
decision
just
made by the governor.
Yeah, the governor, correct. So, and then wherever the flag was going to go, Panamanians were going to have a flag as well.
And so you limited the amount of places that we're going to raise a flag in order to limit.
Correct. And Balboa High School was not one of them. So the students, when they came back from Christmas vacation, because remember the flag riot started on a Wednesday.
Correct. Beginning of January.
Yeah, on a Wednesday. So Monday, Tuesday, when the students came back and they didn't see their flag up on the flagpole, they started their own commotion amongst themselves. There was no Panama involved. There was just, we want our flag. We all went to Balboa High School. We know how that was like. I mean, if they changed our gym short color from white to red, we threw a fit, you know?
You know what?
So,
as you recall, and I don't know if this had something to do with that, but like when we were in elementary school and all that stuff, we did all that stuff inside the classroom. Remember,
correct.
Hanging there. Now, of course, St. Mary's was a little different, but then again, we did both flags there in both national.
Yeah, we did both flags. So all the students were riled up. There was that one guy that we talked about, Jenkins, I think that was his last name, right? He was the leader of that. We want our flag. We want our flag. So the principal, you know, they would like the head. You know how we paint the head. You know, so somebody went up and raised the flag, and then the principal would have to bring it down, and then somebody else would go back up and raise the flag, and then the principal would bring it down. So that was what's going on already. So of course, whoever planned the flag day for the Panamanian side, they saw, oh, this is our opportunity to go there and create a show.
Panamanians at the famous high school right across the street from Napoli's, El Instituto. That's I mean, these are where the rebel rousers are.
Well, it's not just rebel rouser. That's the highest intellects go there. At least back then.
That school had a lot of influence.
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah, that was the top students went there.
So if they said something, people turned to notice. Whether it was rioting, whether it was protesting, whether it was supporting something, they had a lot of influence. So it made sense for anybody that wanted to foment, you know, that kind of trouble.
A riot, yes, they picked that day because the students were already all riled up, but not because of allowing the Panamanian flag to go up. That's not what they were riled up about. Now, we got this information from people who were there, from students, not, you know, anywhere else. So that's a little bit of
yeah, that was interesting, and that was one of the things that Coach Cotton said that, you know, he witnessed it. He goes, "Hey, wait, the narrative that went out there that really got the country, you know, in Panama all in a frenzy was this story that the American
flag got ripped
with them, and they ripped the flag, and they technically desecrated the flag. But as we find out, it wasn't the case. That wasn't the only misdirection, I guess you could call it, because again, my dad was there, you know, filming for the Air Force. And he was in the what was the name of the sisters of whatever the where the nuns
next to the Tivoli, yeah,
right next to the Tivoli. He was there filming, and he observed a German journalist telling some Panamanians to take somebody and put a body up against the barbed wire fence so he could take pictures of it. You know, so in essence, he was staging something that hadn't occurred.
Yeah,
and then my dad recognized him later on in Howard as they were departing the press pool, and he phoned the provost marshal, told him what had happened. What, you know, and remember, you're talking in 1964. Okay, these press pools, they're not coming in with satellite gear and stuff, right? They're filming their stuff. They're going to take it back to wherever, and then at that point, it goes to the air. A lot of times, back in the 60s, you got news a day or two later. You know, unless you were a big news outfit, they would upgrade. You know,
sports too. Remember, we get the games like 2-3 days later.
It was a treat to get a live game. You know, it had to be a special game. Even the first Super Bowl wasn't live. So bottom line was, this guy had all this footage that he was going to take and then suddenly put this narrative out. And my dad called the provost marshal, and they came and pulled him out of the line confiscated
Yeah.
his gear, and I guess they took him off the press pool and everything else. But yeah,
That was a good show, man. That was a good show.
it was great. It was a lot of cool there. You know, a lot of cool information there, and timely because our show happened to fall on the actual anniversary of it. It was on the 9th itself.
Yeah, no, I enjoy researching that because I mean, the facts are there, and people are now starting to read the facts because it's available, and people understand now that there's 4 narratives to what happened that day. So that means they're starting to understand. Well, pick the one you want because there's 4 of them.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And then of course, you know, our third week of the month is always our Canal Zone Dictionary week, and you know, we had a fun Canal Zone Dictionary episode here with a lot of cool information there. The big one was the breezeway homes, right?
Yeah.
You know, whether those were breezeway homes.
Yeah, we learned a little architecture. That was good.
Yes, we did. We learned about that. We also talked briefly about some milestones that we didn't know. They weren't milestones at that time, but it just, as we were looking up some interesting information, we came up with that one. One of them was that on the 4th of September of 2010 was the 1 millionth transit of the canal, which is amazing to think of that number. That's an amazing number to think, that number there. We also talked a little bit about the tree burn, and then started talking about, the whole Canal Zone tradition of the Christmas trees in the neighborhoods and running around stealing trees. And then of course, the big bonfire, now it's in Cardenas, but back then the big bonfire at least for us Pacific Siders was in, by the Abu Sad Temple, by the train station.
Mm-hmm.
We would have it there because that had that big giant concrete area there that that you could burn with no problem. Talk briefly about the World Cup and we got to see the first chance for Panama to start playing as a qualified team. So now they're playing friendlies not to qualify because remember there's still some qualification games for a few other teams in March, but Panama's now looking to start evaluating players, and we talked about that guy Kadir. Right, and he's this big
and the Zonian JD Gunn.
Yeah, JD Gunn, the keeper,
the goalkeeper.
By the way, he's a multi-sport player for Panama.
Correct, basketball. And,
yes, he's also a very accomplished basketball player. But so the Panama team again is starting to make some evaluations, making some moves to start buckling down on their preferred team. We also had another guest, Jenny Lee Samansky, joined us. She's a Zonian author, and she wrote a great children's book for her son that helped him deal with the passing of his grandfather, and it used a lot of anecdotal stories from the Canal Zone and some Canal Zone nostalgia as part of it, and it was just nice to see another Zonian that's bringing something out to the world.
Right, because most children books really are like, happy-go-lucky or look at the monkey go up the tree, that kind of stuff, This one is like psychological, because think about it, truly, your grandparents passed when we're kids. That's, the way life rolls.
Yeah, exactly. And
so the book is about the book is about how to deal with that passing with the children.
And involves some nice Zonian nostalgia too, which was really gives it that angle there. What else did we learn? Remember we saw that picture, which you kind of see there in black and white of the Canal Zone of Balboa.
Excellent picture.
Before they put those breezeway homes in, right? Very high definition. I mean, you can zoom in this picture great, and you can see all those wooden 2- and 3-story homes that filled that whole area.
They call those birdcage.
Yes.
That's what we learned. A couple of architectural terminology. Breezeways were the concrete, and birdcage were the wood ones.
Yes, exactly. And it was amazing to see the roadways, how they changed in that area, right? Where you lived. Those roads weren't there,
Yeah.
It was a completely different layout, So not only did it tear the houses down, but they ripped everything up and started over. They completely resurfaced, redid the roads, and
Owen Street's not. I lived on Owen Street, 2 different houses on Owen Street. It's not even on that map. Owen Street wasn't built, so it was one of the newer streets. Yeah.
They ripped that entire area out. A lot of these places you see where they, like in Gavlin, where they put those breezeway homes in later on in the 70s. They had those birdcage homes. Well, they just tore those down and put houses there in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas here we're seeing that they actually, took everything up and redid that whole Balboa area, different roads, different, layouts and stuff. The other cool thing we learned about was the myth of the French cut. that it's not the French cut, that was actually the U.S. attempt at the
Absolutely.
third
That was a good
canal
one.
from World War II. That was kind of cool. And that
They
was
just
from the
ran out of
Canal
money.
Dictionary, guys. This wasn't something that we had a historian telling us. This is part of Carl Berg's Dictionary of the Canals and the Panama. It told us that. It was what we've done is we've taken that book and we put it into this notebook LM, and it comes up with some really cool quizzes, to give it some variation. And that's how we learn about that, please. Which of course that French cut and the graphic that it created also made sure it mentioned the slide and that area there with Bud Tristano and company that, which has become a very iconic Canal Zone area. And we used to always assume that was a French cut that we were going to, and it turns out it wasn't, And then the last thing we did, which was kind of more of a trivia thing, was which one of these mottos was the official one on the seal of the Canal Zone, right? Versus, remember the land divided, the world united, and we had, funnel for commerce or whatever it was. It was several that we saw that we recognize.
That's like 3 that could have been the answer.
Right.
But
one of them was the official one. The other ones were like on the license plate in different areas. So, it makes that Canal Zone dictionary makes it a lot of fun now, how we can make it
I like the new format, Willie.
Yeah.
Because it's more historical than the original format.
It gives us perspective. It gives us a narrative, right?
Yeah.
Not just, hey, what does this mean? Right. And just
we always start like relajiando, bochinche type, and then we make the segment serious.
Yeah, we tighten it up.
We tighten it up. Yeah.
We learn about the Banana Channel, right?
Yeah.
Banana Island and stuff. That was
Island.
Cool. Yeah. So it was a really good show. And then, of course, the last show that we had for the month outside of this recap show was what we had last week. The interesting thing about this show, in hindsight, I probably should have done this show later on, maybe a few weeks later, right? Because there's a lot of people. We did this right in the middle of the Canal Zone reunion, and so a lot of people were in the reunion itself, and not, you can obviously watch these shows afterwards, which is great.
Which a lot of people do, by the way.
They do, but a lot of people do like to chime in live and get involved with the show, and so this one would have been a great one to do because we did have a lot of chiming in, and Ted Henter, had a lot of influence in both Pacific and Atlantic sides, and that was the great thing about it because you had people on both sides chiming in and giving their histories or their memories of something that either he did or one of his partners in racing and all that did. But man, what an amazing story that Ted Henter told us, right?
Yes.
This is a Zonian, guys, born in 1950 in the Canal Zone. Okay. Experienced the zone like we did, grew up in the zone, surfing, that's what we were talking about earlier there, that he was an avid surfer, one of the first surfers out there, discovered a lot of these places. He's part of what we think is that OG clique, the first Zonians that were there. They weren't the first surfers, as we've learned, but they were the first American or Zonian surfers. And of course, that tradition just exploded from there. But he transitioned into motocross, just for a little while, though, right? He didn't like motocross.
Yeah, he likes speed.
Exactly. He likes
speed. Yeah.
You like to go fast. And, and at that, at that young age, you're not going to get on any kind of flat tracks or any kind of, road racing, I guess, as you could call it. So he did motocross, but shortly thereafter, he did discover his road racing.
Yeah, my buddy Jerry Curtis, just the opposite. Jerry never rides street bikes. Never. I think he did maybe when we were 14, 15 that we would steal his dad's BSAs. And I remember we couldn't even touch the ground. We had John Canzone and I would have to hold him up. Yeah, and then we'd jump on the back with him. And 3 of us take off to Gambo and back. But he was just the opposite.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This guy wanted to drive that type of motorcycle racing. As a teenager, 17 years old, followed mom and dad on his motorcycle from Panama up to the States.
Yep.
Very, very,
an amazing
very cool
story
there to do that. That was amazing.
But he's definitely an amazing Zonian, and we're very, very fortunate to have him on.
No, we really are, because this was his Zonian story. His early years, he got into that. He paddled in the Cayuca race. He was in one of the first Cayuca races. No, I guess not, because they were since the 50s. But he said he did it when the Boy Scouts were still running it, and just a great experience there. And he talked a lot about that. And he's paddled since then, and he talked about, of course, the incredible change in his life. It was a very drastic change. right? For those you don't know, Ted Henter at one point got into a car accident, ended up blind, right? And so lost his eyesight. But just prior to that, this guy was a accomplished racer of motorcycles, right? He was winning races. He was ranked, what do you say, 8th in the world?
Yeah, I mean, people that ride motorcycles know who Kenny Roberts is, and he would beat Kenny Roberts.
Right. He was one of those guys, in that sport, he was at the top level.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, he was at the top level of motorcycle racing around the world, right? He had won Central American championships. He had won races in California, in Canada. I mean, he was a very accomplished racer, and he went to Europe to continue to compete. And again, he was already ranked 8th in the world at that point. And like he says, just a silly, silly mistake. He was driving in England on the way home, and he was on the wrong side of the road. And cars coming the other direction, and they both, and natural instincts to get back into your lane. Well, they actually got into the wrong lane that way because the other cars swerved in the same direction. Head-on collision. And unfortunately for him, as he said, he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and so he went into the windshield and just really messed his eyes up, and then to the point where he was permanently blinded. And but that
we heard the story from him,
became very inspirational because he said it himself. And this was I had to replay it and listen to it. I always do anyway. I watch my shows afterwards. But when he said it at first, I thought this was kind of weird. He's like, it took me a long time to be happy at being blind.
3 years.
And I can't conceptualize that, okay? Because in my mind, losing my sight would be just devastating, right? And especially go back and imagine I'm in my mid-20s and I'm this world-class racer doing the thing I love, and I'm really good at it, and all of a sudden it's just taken away from me, right? And most people would suddenly, complain, the why me, the poor me, and he said he had a moment there, a very spiritual moment.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Where he felt the warmth and everything, and it came to him, and he realized that there was a purpose here.
That's right. Wow.
And mind you guys, he had gone to college to become an engineer. So he had a technical and engineering degree. And without going into too many details, just you got to watch the show, guys. Tune into it. The beginning of the show, there's a bit of an audio issue there. Our ghost friend on the Pacific side over there on the Pacific Ocean likes to fiddle with stuff. And then also, Ted, he uses a system which he created, which we see the image there, JAWS, which helps him to hear computers in essence. But that system, I think, was interfering with his audio. So the beginning part of his audio, it sounds a little muffled at first. Unfortunately, we lose his video signal, but we had an image of him up anyway. But then his audio was crystal clear. So it ends up being a great interview regardless, either way. So make sure you tune into it. But talking about that whole JAWS thing, okay, this is where Ted's story became, if you're a spiritual person and you think about God and how God acts in mysterious ways and how people have a purpose in this world, this was his purpose, right? And it had to happen this way. I don't know why and how, but this is the way it happened. But JAWS is basically a system that allows computers to talk to blind people. So he doesn't see what we're seeing, but he hears what we're seeing. Okay, and he created this, and he perfected this. He made it such that he ended up creating him and somebody. It was it Teddy Joyce or Billy Joyce that he said?
I think it was Billy Joyce.
But it's not a Zonian Billy Joyce.
Not that Zonian Billy Joyce we grew up with.
Somebody else completely unrelated, but same name. But anyway, they started this company and they ended up selling the company, and just a great success story there. But what was interesting in the whole JAWS thing that we were talking about a little bit, and I had gone back to setting up with him the day before, doing show prep and making sure he could connect, and we were having troubles because of this system here. But what was interesting is at one point I had him on the phone on speakerphone, and then we're trying to walk through doing it on the computer, and I could hear the computer talking to him. And let me tell you what, man, it is, if it's describing what you see on this screen here, it is describing it so fast. And I asked him, I go, is that normally how that works? And could you understand everything? Because it was just, it was, remember you ever remember the commercial back in the 80s and 90s of the guy that would read the fine print, the guy that was a fast talker? He had the mustache and whatever. That's the way this thing sounds. Super fast. And here's what was fascinating, because you've probably heard of stories of people that lose one of their senses, the other senses become more focused or more acute or whatever the case is.
Yeah, right, correct.
Well, in this situation, I asked him about that. I go, well, this is really fast. Why is it so fast?
That's right. He reads books like in 30 minutes. Not quite kidding,
he said that our conversations normally are about 100 to 150 words per minute. He hears and comprehends at about 450 words per minute. Now, it's taken him a long time. Like he said, he's been blind for 40 plus years, right? But I could hear his computer talking to him. Like I said, I had him on speakerphone on my phone, and it was so fast. I'm like, oh my God, it's insane how quick that is. But in his world, he was hearing everything and processing it and being able to because it would tell him what to do, and he would click, and sure enough, it would work. And he would bring Mel, his wife, on, when he was getting stuck, and she has to ask him, well, where's the mouse? Because she can't see the mouse. That's the way the thing is configured for a blind person, but it allows him to be able to use computers just like you and I do, and not do it in super slow motion, right? Because it reads really fast. And one thing that was really cool about that, what he said was the computer generated, those old computer generated voices, the very robotic ones, 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of things.
Yeah.
Those accelerated work super well. But if you use the normal AI generated voice, like our recorded voice, because I asked him, I said, can you listen to an audiobook much faster? He says you can, but those voices, when you speed them up, it's hard to understand what they're saying.
Like a chipmunk or something.
Yes, whereas the computer-generated ones, even when they're sped up, they're very easy for him to understand. I just found that fascinating that, that he could hear things 4 times as fast as we can and process it.
Yeah, no, it was a great conversation. And you did a good job interviewing Willie. You did it. That was probably one of your better jobs of interviewing.
It was very enjoyable. Well, you and I prepped for it.
We prepped. And he wrote us and said, guys, thank you very much. One of the best interviews I've had, through all these years that I've been doing interviews.
He did. It was great. It just absolutely made my day when he said that, because he said when I got done, I went in to talk to Mel, his wife, and she goes, how'd it go? He said it was great. He goes, these guys were fantastic. It was the best interview I've ever done. These guys they had great.
That's what he said. He put it in writing.
He did. Man, it was awesome.
We're gonna frame it.
Yeah, I know. It was quite the compliment, honestly, for this guy. My dad even called me afterwards. He goes, man, that was a really good interview.
I know.
Man.
I got some text on it that you did a good job.
It was awesome.
Well,
listen, we both did a great job there, and Ted was an absolute champ. He absolutely was just very accommodating. I asked him, prior, I was like, hey, is there anything that's off limits? I don't want to, make you uncomfortable, whatever. He goes, hey, ask me whatever. It's my story. I'm blind.
Yeah, no, we did ask him if talking about the blind and all that stuff, if he was okay with that. He said,
class
go
act,
for
man.
it.
Yeah. Really fun guy. And he made a point to tell me, he goes, I'm serious about being on that surfing show. He really was.
Yeah, we're gonna have him back. He's coming back for sure. Yeah.
No, it was good, man. This month was jam packed. There's a lot of fun things going on, but hopefully you guys like this new format. It seems to be more informative, more engaging. So we're gonna be doing a lot more of that stuff. But it was great, man. I'm excited with it. I'm excited with everything we have going on. And I'm looking forward to more of this stuff, man. But,
March 1st, 2 years.
Great. Yeah, exactly.
It's only a month away.
Already. We're almost there, but hey, we are hit our number here, so it is that time to say, hey, time to start our weekend and go do your thing. But great show, great month, great start to our year, Ricky. Absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely, I gotta agree with you.
It's just I'm excited for 2026. We're gonna have a lot of fun things going on. Next week, of course, is the beginning of the month again. So Dave Dahlstrom, happy birthday, Dave Dahlstrom, will be joining us and give us some more Canal Zone history. So I'm excited for that. What else do we have in the month? Let me pull this up here because I should have had my calendar here ready to go.
Well, we don't know. I mean, the guests. I forget too, but we definitely have Dictionary, and we definitely have Dave.
Also have Lance Winkowski is going to join us.
That's it.
He was in the dredging division.
Yeah, because we got 4 shows next month.
He's already said yes, he'll join us there. So that one's supposed to be coming up the 13th of February, hopefully. Again, our Dictionary on the 20th, and then our recaps. March, we're looking at hopefully Vern will be joining us, as well as we want to do something with baseball. you know, because it's baseball
Correct.
season now, so that should be a lot of fun. But anyhow, I'm excited for next week, some more history, so I'm looking forward to that. But let's go ahead and get out of here, Ricky. There's that Chiva blowing the horn.
There's my Chiva going by. Listen, guys, thank you. Like always, we appreciate you. All 80 of you viewers that watch us every week religiously. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week, and we'll continue giving you the show about the Canal Zone.
Salute, guys. Cheers.
Salute.